Hello, do-it-yourselfers. Today we are staining a raw oak door. The tools needed today are an oil brush, a sponge, rubber gloves, a bunch of clean rags, and a pair of sawhorses. We are also using this stain here. The brush is needed for all the corners and can be used on the entire door. However, dipping the sponge in the stain and wiping it on is a faster process. I use the sponges that the big box stores typically sell in the grout and mortar section. The brush typically leaves behind more excess stain as well. Stain is not like paint at all. You don't have to put it on even and smooth. By the time the stain has been applied to the entire door, we are ready to wipe off the excess, which will leave behind all the stain that has absorbed into the wood. Make sure to give extra attention to all the corners. It's the most likely spot to leave an extra puddle of stain that will leave a permanent dark spot once the clear has been applied. Using a 5-in-1 with a rag is a good method for wiping the corners and getting all the excess stain. If we are just staining one door, a couple of rags is enough. We just want to make sure we aren't using a saturated rag and moving stain around instead of wiping the excess stain off. After the stain ideally sits for a day, but at least a few hours, it is time to apply the clear coat. Here we are spraying it on, but it is perfectly fine to use a brush. There are oil-based and water-based clear coats nowadays, so just make sure to use the appropriate brush for the product. If working with multiple doors, some kind of stacking or booth setup will be needed. This is a simple stacking method with blocks and 2x3s. Next up is sanding. After the first coat of clear dries, the door will feel very rough to the touch, so go over every inch of it with some kind of sandpaper or sanding blocks. Here we use something in the 120 to 180 grit range most likely. The grit used isn't a huge issue, just keep in mind that something really fine like 800 will not take enough off, and something really rough like 40 grit will put scratches in your doors, so just use common sense and sand away. After sanding, we will need to wipe off all the dust. If we have used a water-based clear coat, then wipe with clean water rags. If an oil-based clear coat is used, then wet clean rags with paint thinner to wipe the dust. Once the doors are dust-free, we are ready for the final coat of clear. Let the doors dry and keep leveling up your house.